Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Eel Podcast. Here are your hosts, Scott and Mike. So, today's episode is going to be shorter in the sense of content wise because we're at the time of the year that, there's not a lot going on. Let's be honest. So, right now, we're going to be talking how this episode is going to go, is going to be the latest two episodes of Invincible. We'll talk about where we think it's going to go for the second half, which won't be coming out till next year. And then we're going to be talking about what we think is going to be happening in the episodes of What If that are supposed to be coming out at the end. Well, no, not supposed to. They are definitely coming out in December from the 22nd to the 30th. And then we're going to end, as we always do, with a character spotlight from each of us. And then we're going to discuss what's going to be happening for the next, actually the rest of this year. So weird to think about that we're already almost a year in. So let's get right into it. Yeah, it seemed like it flew by, did it not?
It really did. This year went by so fast.
Not only that, it's just like I think part of it is just like we do an episode once every 2 weeks ish. Some months we got away with it to be in like a 3 week period, but like for the most part it was every 2 weeks. And I don't know, I didn't hate doing it with you, so not bad. So let's get right into. I mean that's so it's normal. So we're going to go right into Invincible. So there were two episodes. One was about Alan the alien. We learned a lot. Also, there was a lot of sex. Two,
There was.
the second episode, or AKA episode 4, was all about insects and how they can easily be crushed by somebody more powerful.
A Bug's Life.
Quite literally. So, all right. So, how did you like the third episode about Alan the alien?
I liked that. I liked that he gave him a little bit of backstory. I liked that he like, even though he knows he's not strong enough to beat the Vultramites, he wanted to be the hero to protect his people, protect his love interest. And or I assume that that was his love interest, right? Yeah.
I am. Well, they made love. So
Yeah, they had sex.
so whether or not that's his love interest or not, they're at least I guess what the aliens would say, bumping uglies.
Yeah, so um I liked that, and I liked how they have he has the High Council that he's trying to work for, and like I said, just trying to be the hero, even though he's not strong enough, and even though he may or may not have gone to the wrong planet, but that's besides the point, because he still did his job even though it was the wrong job.
Yeah.
But it was really funny is during the this morning I was watching episode 3, and I am watching it with Steph, and they're doing the whole sex scenes between Mark and Alan, and she's listening, and she's like, "Are you sure this is a kids' TV show?" I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, no, this is not a kids' TV show. No.
I would hope it's rated M for mature, isn't it?
Yes, this is rated.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was dead set. Like it's, I mean when I say it's on level with The Boys, I don't mean like to the gruesomeness of it, but like it deals with blood, guts, and ripping people apart, and then it's very emotional.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um,
But it's no, the Boys is a little bit higher, at least at the
no, but
moment.
you understand what I'm saying in the sense of like just the ranking, like the rating
Yes,
level. What I mean.
yes.
Um, I just was gonna say I did like it thematically in the sense of like starting off with Mark and then he's in college and then all of a sudden he's hooking up with his girlfriend and then they're like, well, let's go into another area. And we learn about him and how he was created and how was genetically made to be the most powerful being ever. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. He's
So
the
here's
most
the
powerful.
thing.
He's definitely the most powerful of his race for sure.
He's definitely the
Without
most
a doubt.
powerful in his race. He could be the most powerful species. The thing is that the Vultramites are trained to be warriors. So he's not trained.
Well,
He's just.
Well,
He was just grown in the
what I
he
was
was
going to say
grown in the
too is
lab.
the Vultramites are also lived thousands of years. Like it's not just the
Yeah.
fact of like no, I agree with you. Like maybe with the training he could, and I'm not disagreeing to that. What I'm getting at is he's like a baby compared to them.
Yes.
Like he still can hold his own against one to a certain degree, as we learned,
Hmm.
but he definitely obviously couldn't handle three.
Yeah.
Um
It's like
which would
I don't know if you remember this, but from the it reminded me kind of the Injustice comic series, the book 3 when Superman fought Wonder Woman. Superman is more powerful, but Wonder Woman is a trained warrior and has lived
longer than him.
a lot longer than him. So in a fight, if it's on even playing ground, Wonder Woman will beat Superman. But Superman, as we know, is the
Could
loophole in
demolish her.
all of these, in all these fights. But you know, I kind of see it as that, where like Alan could be more powerful, but the Vultramites are just better trained and have a lot more experience than him.
Which would make sense, to be honest with you, that he could technically be on par with, and I'm going to sound awful saying it, but like with one of their children,
Hmm.
just because of his age, because
Yeah.
Alan is so young. And when I say young, I don't really care if he's like 30, 50, or whatever. The people he's been fighting are at least, at minimum, a millennia plus.
Hmm.
And that
I
is a
mean,
lot of time.
we have an example like Alan versus Invincible. They're a level playing field. But Alan versus Omni Man, Omni Man will smoke him.
Correct. So one of the big things, too, is just like, I did enjoy it. It was very well done. I loved how comedic it was
Oh yeah.
until it wasn't.
Yep.
Because it really was literally the first half was all like sunshine and rainbows, right? Granted, it was a little dark, a little bit like splattered in, but it wasn't until the end of the episode where it just stopped being cutesy and just went dark really quick.
It got serious.
Yeah, Alan died, everyone. Spoilers. Happened. He's dead. Well, I shouldn't say that. We are under the impression he's dead.
We do not know. So his job was to find the traitor in his people's in
They're, what are they called?
I forget.
But anyway, the council. Basically, it's somebody in the council,
Yeah,
and we found out who
somebody
it
in the
was.
council is a traitor who is leaking information to the Vultramites, and turns out it is the head of the council. And after Alan got the crap beat out of him by the Vultramites, he was on life support, and the head of the council ended up pulling the plug. So we are assuming he's dying, but I'm going to be honest because nothing, they're leaving it as a cliffhanger. I'm assuming he's not dead.
Well, I was also going to say too. They've made such a big point to emphasize that his species refused to die,
Yeah.
like quite literally. You know what I'm saying? That there's a good chance that if it's not him, it's another version of him.
Hmm.
At the very least, there's no way there's not going to be another Alan
Yeah,
if it's not
definitely.
the same Alan.
Plus,
Because
I'm
it
going to be honest. Like the way that they finished him off, I feel like he's a bigger character that's not going to be the way that they kill him off. So
no, but I think it was meant to show that like he doesn't he doesn't have friends like he thought he did. And I
no,
don't
yeah.
mean and I don't mean that as like an insult to like his girlfriend or anything else. I'm just saying obviously the people he thought he could trust obviously could not.
Yes, that is
Um,
correct.
and in fact, one of the Viltrumites that we see is considered to be the most powerful female in the entire race.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And she is the only difference between her in the show and her in the comics, literally, hair color. That's it.
Really? Oh, okay.
Well, at least physically. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because I guess what they did in the comics was kind of like Nolan. She had like a little bit of gray in her hair, but not completely gray. Where in the show, she's completely gray.
Either way.
Honestly, it is the most obviously the most minor detail, but the blade and everything else is exactly the same.
Huh, cool.
Yeah, it's messed up. But anyway, so the episode ends with um, uh, an, an insect creature pretending to be a hero for Mark, um, the one he used to grow up as a kid, the dog one with the
The
magic.
hero dog. Yep, I forget its name.
I forget too. It doesn't matter. And Mark and him got into a fight, and I use that word very loosely because if it was really a fight, that creature would have been killed immediately.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I will say Mark hit him hard, but not like hard enough to kill. So anyway, he shows his real form. He's like an ant insect type creature, and he then tells Mark that his people needs him. They need him to protect his people, and so Mark at first is like no, and then his buddy's like, you got to do it. Like think of the millions and billions and trillions of people you could be saving. And so Mark goes, and he leaves. He basically tells Cecil to go himself,
Yep.
in a nice way. In a nice way, he doesn't flat out say it. And then he goes to the planet. The planet is in beautiful shape, by the way. It is the most beautiful planet we've ever seen. And Mark is very confused because he was told there were meteors everywhere going to destroy everything. And who does he see but the monarch of this people? And who is it, Mike?
Omni Man.
Nolan. His name is
Dad.
Nolan,
Dad.
Double Dad, which we'll get to in the next episode. So
um,
that's how that episode ends. I will say this: that was the biggest cliffhanger for me because I know we obviously knew after watching episode 3 that episode 4 was going to be like the mid-season finale.
mhm.
So I was like, is there going to be another fight between Omni Man and Invincible?
Oh yeah. Yep.
But the opposite, meaning like Omni Man not fighting him and like just just being just being invincible, just beating up his dad, and his dad just taking it. Like I it could have been either direction.
Mhm.
But how that episode begins was by far one of the most status openings to any show I have ever seen.
Oh, Omni Man just flying through the universe. Yeah.
Not
Honestly.
depressed and then ready to end his own life.
Yep. And th- honestly, simple touch, but the music just really, really like added the nail to the coffin kind of thing. You know,
It
they
was
did
the
that beautifully.
I was just gonna say like it was the longest period of time because we'll talk about Debbie too, but the both of those scenes were by far I want to say a decent amount of the episode,
Hmm.
and yet like no so much of the story was told in that amount of time, and there were no words.
Yep.
It was just music, emotion. That's it.
Yep. The best story told is one that doesn't need to be told.
Yeah, honestly, it gave us everything we needed and then some.
Yeah. No, it was they were like that. This episode was honestly a beautiful episode with the just like you said, just with the being able to tell the story just through the animation and the music, and then even when they're like the character interactions, like you really felt for all of the characters in this episode. Like you felt for Mark, you felt for Debbie, you felt for Omni Man, you felt even for the insect people. Like
You felt it for Eve too, because we forget that
and
Eve
Eve.
was in
Yep.
this episode too. And it's sad to say this, but like, yes, Eve had a part in this episode, but like it was overshadowed by everything else. Granted, it was still good. Do not get me wrong, but like when you think of that episode, personally, if I didn't like reread it, meaning like read it after I've watched it before we filmed, I would have forgot she was in this episode.
No, yeah, no, you're right. I did. No,
And
you're
again, it wasn't like she didn't have like a huge part, but it went with the tone of the episode of just depression.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And this
Everyone
was
is
the main
fighting for their own like they all have their own issues that they're trying to deal with.
yeah.
And it man, all these superhero shows, they with this emotional drama.
Well, it makes sense because I mean, realistically, what they're trying to show is they're like everyone else. Just because you
Oh
could
yeah.
do everything and have everything doesn't mean you're happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's a great telling, but I think it's also one of those things where it's like it really and what it shows, and I think people forget, is people are like all done with superhero culture and everything else, like they've just outdone it and stuff like that. Obviously not, because it still pertains to real life right now. I mean, we have influencers and everything else in our lives that portray something. Now granted, I know it's not to the level of superheroism, I get that, but to the degree of like they're popular in their own aspect, and yet we see them happy, healthy, excited about life and everything else. But we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. They can be
Yep.
miserable trying to just fill the void of emptiness. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's just seeing that over and over again, and why it's so good is because, unfortunately, it's real life.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And
You are
with
absolutely
fantasy,
right.
obviously. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely fantasy involved in it. But overall, oh, and I forgot about the twins, the clones. They were in this episode
Oh,
too.
right.
It
I
was just
forgot
all
about them.
depression. It was literally all depression.
That was
Nothing was happy in this episode.
that
Not
was
a
wild.
single thing. It was hilarious, but also it fit with the theme.
Oh yeah, no, no, no. I didn't say it was hilarious. I said that was wild.
Oh, wild. Sorry. No, it was a little funny. Because it's what you would expect. But
Oh yeah,
anyway,
100%.
so I'm going to just quickly go over what happened, and then I want you to discuss first what you think is going to happen in the second half of the season. Okay?
Oh man.
All right.
Go
So no,
ahead.
no. Well, don't worry. I'm going to say my thing too, but you know, I figured give myself a break and let you speak after.
Hey, no, I'm just saying I have to think about it now.
Yeah, I know. So as we already talked about, Omni Man starts the episode with him just being depressed. Apparently, what happened on Earth really messed with him emotionally, and he grew attached to the people there, which is really weird to think about because of what he did before he left.
Yeah. Yep.
But it does make sense throughout the episode. So like it was a longer period of time than you would expect, right? So then at one point he was just ready to end it and go into a black hole, quite literally. It was a collapsing star and he was going in. And then he sees this ship that's about to go in, and he, I guess for some reason, he decided to save them. Instead of them all going down together, he decided to save them, bring them back to his planet, and because of
You okay?
yeah, did you hear the noise?
Yes.
Okay, that was weird. My notifications shouldn't be on, but they are. Um,
Mr.
so anyway,
Popcorn.
they he brings them back to the planet, and they basically worship him as a god, literally. And he then, well, wifes up one of them and creates a beautiful purple baby.
Thanos.
Yeah, and the reason why Nolan called Mark there is because he needed help protecting his brother. Because Viltrumites are only allowed to breed with those that are very similar to their race, and only if they are strong enough to have the Viltrumite blood in them. Literally. That's it.
You know, it's interesting because of that. Because he was able to have a half Viltrumite, half bug baby. Wouldn't the baby have a be strong enough to have the Viltrumite blood? You know, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I know. I know they're
No,
racist.
no, no. I get what you're saying. I think what it is it weakens the Viltrumite's power, is their thought process. But also, they're very racist.
Yes,
So, like,
they're
if
inferior
they're.
species. It's like back in the day when white people and black people had
Well,
had
it's
babies.
not only just that, it's just the fact of, like, their race is weird to begin with because most of them are thousands and thousands of years old. So it's
Hmm.
like, how are they procreating? You know what I'm saying? They just live so long. They're obviously not doing it a lot. I mean, Nolan's done it more than I think most of them have done in the last millennia. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even like that's not me trying to be funny. It's like legitimate. Like, how many of them are there? They had a civil war that ripped themselves literally in half,
It's true. No, you're
and
right.
now
You're
they're
right.
just and now they're conquering worlds. But anyway, so
You know,
basically, the
it's
whole
funny
point.
because sidetrack. My mug is kind of like with the I'm a ray of sunshine. Works with the episode.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to. Now I'm gonna have to edit that out.
It's
Um,
backwards. You can't see it.
no, it comes up regular on my screen.
Oh, does it? Oh, my bad.
Anyway, so that being said,
Backwards
what
for
we
me. So.
no, I know. But anyway, the point I'm making is just the fact that, that's pretty much what he wanted Mark to be there for. And Mark goes through a lot of emotions during this episode because he loves his dad, wants to beat him up, wants to kill him, also is pissed off that he's sleeping with some insect woman, and has another kid already.
Even though it's been quite some time for Omni Man, it's only been. Did they say how long? Maybe like a year?
It couldn't be a year because their race only lives a year. The insect people only live a year. So it couldn't be a full year or else his wife would be dead already.
Right. That's right. Well, no. I mean, a year on Earth.
Oh, oh, that is a very good question. I want to say 6 months.
Okay.
I'm going to say 6 months. I'm going off of that because I don't think it's been a full year yet. That's going to be my guess. But anyway, so that happens. So I'm going to go back to Earth for a minute. Um, so we have Debbie going through this depression like you wouldn't believe. We have the same music of her just walking in the streets. And then she gets home, and you know who decides to show up is the guy who created the costume for Invincible and for Omni Man, who is voiced by the Joker. So, Mark Hamill.
Yes. I know.
Sorry. So anyway,
Although he's retired from the Joker.
yeah, I don't care what he says. He's still the Joker. But anyway,
Technically, he's Luke Skywalker before the Joker. Just saying.
some of us watched Batman before we watched Star Wars. So anyway, so he actually convinces Debbie to realize that she was stronger than what she thought of herself as. That basically she stood up to Omni Man when he could have literally killed her at any minute. She's told
True.
him no. She's told him what to do. She even raised their son the way she wanted. And because of that, probably saved billions of lives. And realistically, what he basically tells her is you don't you don't need anybody else. You just need to realize it for yourself. You don't need anybody else.
Hmm.
And you know what? She does. And she decides to tell Cecil to take his money and shove it up his electric butt. And she says she doesn't need him anymore, and that she's not going to let him influence her son anymore just because he's paying the bills. She could do it herself and have a good life. And she leaves.
Yeah.
Um, there's also, and I'm going to go back to that scene later because there's something very important from it that we have to discuss. Because she leaves books out, and that apparently leads into what happens supposedly in the next half of the season. Um, but anyway, so we have that. We have Eve, who's dealing with her depression of realizing that her powers aren't 100% helping everyone, even though she's really trying. I give her a lot of credit. She is trying, but she goes ape on Raygun guy, gun arm guy.
Yeah.
What's his? He's got a dumb name because she makes in front of it in the episode too.
Mhm.
And she beats him up, but he also fights back because a blast hits, knocks a vehicle off, and she has to save them and everything else. She blasts him into the Golden Gate Bridge. It is the Golden Gate Bridge, right? That's where she is. It looks like it.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, he gets blasted into it, is knocked out. She goes down and saves the people that are down there, or so she thinks. I say it that way because we don't know whether they live or die. But she
Hmm.
brings them up from the waters and gets the EMTs to kind of help out. She then goes back home to her mother and father, and that's how that part of her episode ends. Which is really just sad because she really doesn't like it there, and they treat her awfully.
Yep. She bailed on her friends.
Yeah, yeah. Which makes me weirded out that she's going back to home to her mom and dad because they are not a ray of sunshine.
Abusive family. They don't. They just because you're mistreated, you go back to what you know.
No, and that's fair. I get it. And plus, if she's feeling miserable, they can't make her feel worse. Um, Although they can try, I promise you that. Dad more than mom. Mom, I don't think really tries, even though she does.
She doesn't mean to. She gets frustrated and like snaps at her, but she doesn't mean to mistreat her. Whereas her dad literally
Oh,
tries.
100% does. 100%. There's no hiding it, making it seem nice, or anything like that.
Yeah, no,
Well,
no, no. He no, he's not a good guy.
so then we have Donald, who is Cecil's second in command, who finds out that he was blown up and actually saw the video of himself getting his spine crushed
And then blown up.
and then blowing himself up. And then
So there were a lot of different videos of him dying. No,
diff I took it. They had multiple cameras in the house. I knew that.
but like it because it seemed like there were a couple of videos of Omni Man like killing him in different ways until the final part where he snapped his spine and then blew him up.
I feel like it was very disjointed, the videos. I will agree to that. And there were also a lot of videos that we didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say for sure, but my guess would be is that's all the times that he's died.
That's what I was gonna go like about to say. It's like he's died multiple times.
And so what's weird is he starts freaking out because he's trying to figure out what he is, which has got to be a whole plethora of emotions that he has on that front. He gets to the point where he finally loses it to the point, and I say it this way not to be an insult to him or anybody else who's going through stuff, but he really wants to find out what he is, grabs a knife and stabs himself, and he bleeds, and he feels so happy. Like he's actually relieved that he's bleeding until he looks at the blade and realizes it's bent at the tip.
Yep.
Then he gets called by Cecil because they have a urgent matter that needs to be taken care of, and he leaves the bathroom.
Goes back to work.
Um, Hold on. I've talked about Debbie. I've talked about Donald. I've talked
You
about Eve. I've
you
talked
kind
about
of talked
Omni
about
Man.
Debbie. Kind of
Huh?
talked. You kind of talked about Debbie. You didn't talk about her completely. You didn't talk about her in her AA meeting.
Oh, that was the last episode. We forgot about that.
Yep.
That was in episode 3. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. So she finally decides. So I'll go back a little bit. So in episode 3, she finally decides to go to her um, group counseling, and apparently it's for all the spouses of superheroes. And she, in the meeting, she does not open up at all. I will say that for a fact. It wasn't until the former husband or widower of Ghost Girl tells her to go out drinking with him, and they start drinking, and she lets slip that she's the wife of Omni Man, and that's when
She didn't even let it slip. So he was explaining what was going on. He said that he was talking bad about Omni Man, saying how he was he was a monster for what he
yeah,
did. That hurt her because obviously she found out that these superheroes had a family. They weren't just by themselves, and so she leaves the bar, and he sees that she's leaving, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on? Did I say something wrong?" And that's when she goes, "I'm Omni Man's wife. I didn't know what was going on. If I did, I wouldn't have let this happen." Like blaming herself for something that was completely out of her control at the end of the day.
and he
Uh,
blames her though.
and he blamed her and told her, "Don't come back because you're not welcome." And that's what led her down to her, you know, really
Walking
bad
the street
spiral.
barefoot.
Yep. And that leads into episode 4, where then she decides, I'm going to start taking charge of what what goes on in my life instead of just getting bossed around by everybody or being under someone's control.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the big things of her character is, and I think and I can't remember his name, but it's the costume maker literally says to her, "Omni Man's invincible, so everything's easy for him. For you, everything was hard, and yet you survived it all."
Yep. Yeah.
And it's 100% accurate. I mean, like, there's no other way of saying it. But anyway, so that was Debbie's story. So I talked about Debbie fully now. I've talked about Eve. I've talked about Omni Man. I've talked about Donald. I've talked a little bit about Invincible. Is there anybody else I need to talk about before we get into what happens on the insect planet?
No, I think that was everybody.
I think that was everyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, I don't know if it's really worth talking about. Robot. Him going on his date with the monster girl.
Oh, that was one of the positive ones. Things
Yeah.
that happened. That's right. I didn't remember it because it was happy. Um, it's honest. It's honest. I'm very honest.
It didn't fit the episode.
No, it didn't fit the episode. It ruined the whole episode. But anyway, so Robot and Monster Girl go on their first date. She's 20 what? She's 23, 24.
I thought she was 21, but she could be a little bit older.
Oh, you know what? No, you might be right. She might be 22 now. But like
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, all right. No, cuz she has the every time she transforms into her monster form, she gets younger. That's
Yeah, I
part
actually
of
forgot that.
yeah. So, and then we have the clone of Rexplosion, Rexplosion. Sorry, Rexplosion, who now has the mind of Robot, who is super intelligent. And they sneak into a well, they didn't really sneak into. They get into a rated R movie um, because she basically pays somebody $10 to pretend to be their mother, so they can then go inside. And I find it funny because obviously they look like children, but they've literally saved Earth many a times.
Yep. Yep.
So I
Yep.
find that just funny. But in general, they go in, they have popcorn and everything else. Then they go to a fast food restaurant, like Burger Place or
Burger,
something.
Burger Mart.
Burger Mart, sorry. And he's never had fast food before. And he's like, well, this isn't nutritious. Like, why would I eat this? And she goes, it doesn't need to be nutritious. Like, I think you have to understand that it's an experience. Like, it's not meant to be good for you. If it was good for you, it wouldn't taste good. And he eats it and loves it. And it pretty much, I mean, the date goes rather well. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen because they're prepubescent technically.
So the thing with Robot is that because now that he has a living body, he's afraid to take chances and do what's necessary because he's afraid that he's going to finally die.
Well, it's
So
not just that. Like he's actually in the suit now. Like before, he wasn't really in the suit.
yeah,
So that was one of the bigger issues to begin with, in the sense of like now he's in it and he's like realizing fear is not his friend and
yes.
it's messing with
So
him.
so like that's the point of this episode is that like he's trying to overcome his fear. He's trying to because before he was able to make these decisions that because he didn't have to uh, calculate fear into his equations. So now he has to calculate them into his equations, and he's trying to remove fear from his emotions so that way he can be a better hero again.
And what
And his
Monster
first
Girl,
step was asking Monster Girl out on a date.
yeah, but I also too like Monster Girl knows what's going on, and in her mind, and she does a good job of this in the sense of stating like, no, you kind of need that.
Yes.
Like it's what's going to make you better. Like don't get me wrong, you can't be crippled by it, but like you still need it to do well.
And she basically said like that feeling is there for a reason.
Yeah,
If you're afraid of something, sometimes you should listen to it because it could literally save your life sometimes.
absolutely. No, and you're absolutely right on that. I agree with you. So now we're going to move towards the end of the mid-season, the first half. So Mark agrees to help out his brother, not because his dad asked him. I want to make that clear because he made that very clear. Um, and so, but Invincible says right from the get go, like, I couldn't beat you. How am I going to beat a bunch of Viltrumites? Well, I'm going to train you. And then, as he says that, three what look like statues,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to lie to you, they looked like statues or like human shaped meteorites,
Hmm.
smashed right into the planet. Which I get it. They're, I get that they're like very invincible, but like that is a very unorthodox way of landing on a planet. Just
I just thought it was funny because I was like, oh, the insects foreshadowed their plan's getting struck by meteorites.
I know, and it's so weird because every time the Viltrumites take over a planet, it does look like a meteor shower,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
even though they're not meteors.
No.
Um, but yeah, so the three Viltrumites smash into the planet, the same three that killed or potentially killed Alan. At the very least, beat him up bad.
Hmm.
Alan the alien. So, um, Omni Man um, orders Mark to take his brother and his dad's wife, um, away. And so Mark grabs them and flies away, and we assume that Omni Man is fighting the other three Viltrumites.
Hmm. Yep.
So they go. So Mark and the other two make it into this cavern, and they start going into deeper in, and that's when a Viltrumite comes in. And this guy is big, and I mean fat. I expected their race to be like fit, and he was just fat.
Yeah. Yep. Very.
Don't get me wrong, he still looked like he could kill all of us without a problem, but like I just expected somebody who is that I don't know. I just expected somebody who would, doesn't miss the gym. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just me. It's like looking at a Kryptonian who's fat. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
I
powered
get
by
you.
the sun.
I get you. I get you.
It doesn't make
You're
sense.
right. I didn't think of it until you said it.
Yeah, it honestly like if he was like I would have been fine if he like was just broad. You know what I'm saying? Like he is broad. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but I mean like if he was just like kind of like muscular big without being like thin muscular. You know what I'm saying? But like
Yeah.
that, he had a beer belly. I mean, there's no denying it.
He had a dad bod.
I don't even think dads have that kind of bod. He was borderline obese. So anyway, I
Some
mean,
people are into that.
I'm not saying he it isn't attractive to some people. I'm just saying comparatively to the rest of his race, everyone else has got a natural 8 pack, and he's got a keg. All right.
Listen. There's an 8 pack under that keg. All right.
Well, I mean, apparently he doesn't need it because he can push Invincible down with one finger and crush him.
Yeah,
I think that terrified me more than anything else.
that was wild. I'm just like sitting there. It's you just hearing the cracking. I'm like, oh, someone's coming through the walls to help Invincible, and then nope.
No, it's literally just the
Excuse me. Is
finger
it him
pushing
just
one.
pushing?
I think what irritated me, and I don't. When I say irritated, I don't want you to think like, "Oh, that's unrealistic." No, it irritated me to the fact of showing how powerful they are by using just one finger on his temple and just pushing him into the ground.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, they're a powerful race. They're the reason why they're like the universe conquerors.
Quite literally, actually. Then Nolan comes in and starts beating this guy up. Not easily, by the way. This is the first. No, that's not true. I would say that this was the first time in my mind I wasn't positive that Omni Man was going to live. That I can
Yeah.
say for sure.
Yeah.
This wasn't the first time he's taken a beating, for sure, but this was definitely the first time where in this fight I thought for sure he was going to die.
Yeah. Because in season one, he got put into a coma from the uh,
Guardians.
Guardians.
I agree with you. But but he, you know what I mean? Like he lived. Like it wasn't like he. I didn't think he was going to die from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he obviously could take a beating. But anyway, so what he does is, and this is what weirds me out, was he used his hand like a blade and sliced his keg wide open.
That he did, and then hung him on the wall.
Yeah, and then the two of them escaped to go attack the other remaining Viltrumites.
And that's when Omni Man saw that the insect people were getting massacred, and he had a mental breakdown. And
And he almost beat up Mark because he was trying to figure out why does he care so much.
mhm,
And Mark's like, you should have cared on Earth. And Omni Man's just kind of like, what? Like these people are inferior; they don't deserve life.
yeah,
But like at the same time, like he's got his old Viltrumite like mindset with his Earth persona in there too. You know what I mean? Like, granted, they are not two separate beings. By no means they're the same person, but I think they're coming together in his head, and he's not acting like a Viltrumite anymore to the same degree.
yeah. No, he's become humanized, and like it really sunk on him after Mark kind of like during their fight in season one. That broke him, and the time that he was just traveling in the void of space, like really, um, obviously hit him, and being able to find a people that accepted him once again, just to see it get ripped away from him again, this time not from himself, from his people, um, clearly ended up having an impact on him, which is, like you said, just crazy because, what he was raised to be a monster.
And again, it's one of those weird things where, like, based on the planets he goes to, he's considered a monster, but a hero to his own race originally.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
is a villain. Um, so now it is Omni Man versus the other male Viltrumite, and then Invincible versus the female with a blade in her hair.
Hmm.
Okay? So they're fighting, and Mark is getting pulverized. Let's be honest. Invincible is not invincible, um, especially in this fight. So
Not at all.
Omni Man goes back and forth fighting the two of them to help Mark out, and he finally tells him, "Stop holding back. They're attacking as if to kill you. You need to do the same." And what happens after that? Now, granted, it doesn't happen right away, but Mark eventually starts realizing that and goes ham. I mean, he's hitting her just as hard as she's hitting him,
And he's
if not
dodging
harder.
everything he's throwing
If
at him.
not, if not harder. And he's smacking her around like she's nothing to a certain degree. I mean, she's still hitting him a little bit, but like he seems to be doing more damage than she is to him now.
Yep.
So
Nope.
Omni
He
Man,
he really came into himself.
yeah, he really got into his heritage, the good one. Um,
The one his dad could be proud of.
Unfortunately, yeah. So Omni Man punches the other guy so hard that it looks like he breaks his brain in half.
Yeah. He like he did like the head clap, and
Yeah, and so in my mind, he must have shattered his skull because
mhm.
his head was moving way too much.
Oh yeah.
Like,
No, yeah,
so
definitely.
there's no way he lived. I'm like,
No, no, no. He died.
I'm
He
99% sure he's dead.
he definitely crushed his skull and crushed his brain. Maybe not completely, but
I also don't know how Viltrumites can survive certain things, so that's why I'm saying I'm 99% sure he's dead.
yeah. It kind of reminded me of Homelander on the blind blind
Blind spot,
superhero, huh?
blind spot.
Blind spot. When he did the head clap thing and made him go deaf. But he obviously to a much more extreme. So
Well, that's because he's actually stronger than Homelander.
yes, we know that. I know. I saw the
Well,
death.
anyway,
I know.
so then Mark actually has the ability to kill the other Viltrumite and hesitates. And because of that, she stabs him in the gut with her blade.
Hmm.
And that's when Omni Man comes in and hits her and knocks her away. But then, out of nowhere, Spear Gut, Mr. Keg, comes in and literally, I mean, straight Mortal Kombat style, uses both legs like Bane from Injustice to like full on use like puts both feet into Nolan's back and you can hear his spine snap.
That was brutal. It was real
And then he
brutal.
dies. Not Nolan, but the guy holding his guts.
Yeah.
He's literally got his, I don't know if it's his clothes or if it's excess skin or what, but he's holding his insides in.
But he calls the Viltrumites and tells them that
It's done.
Homelander, Omni Man's been defeated,
That's not what he
and
says though. He says
well,
it's
yeah,
done.
he says it's
That's
done.
literally what he says. And that's when all of a sudden the Viltrumites come in and take away all the bodies except for Mark. And we see the general of the Viltrumites, who is the second command of the Viltrumite army. The only one above him is the Emperor.
General Krieg.
Yeah, robotic eye.
Yes.
It's just easier for that way. Just because I'm not going to remember their names yet. And he basically tells Mark, you know what? You've earned your right to be called a Viltrumite. But you're going to go back to Earth and you're going to conquer it. And let me tell you, if you don't, we'll come back and eliminate all of them just to prove a point. So that's your choice. And then Mark goes to tell him to go F off. And that's when he punches him. And I am assuming he breaks his jaw.
I thought he just knocked him out, to be honest.
Both. I don't
Or
care.
or close to it.
Either way, both. I like both.
Of course you do.
And he takes Nolan away, who is going to be executed.
Yep.
That's how the
Executed.
episode ends. So, where do you
No,
think?
not how the episode ends.
Oh,
The,
the
the clones.
clones. My apologies. I forgot the best part of the episode. So we do think that's how the episode ends, to be fair. Then
Yeah,
the credits start a little bit, and then we have, I don't even remember what their names are.
the Mahler twins.
The Mauler twins, right? Okay. So they now know which one's the clone and which one's not, because one of them is burnt to a crisp on one side. So because of that, makes the clone a slave to him, until the point where he decides to poison him with tea. And as he's literally dying, he goes, "We're going to go back to the way it was because that's the way it worked."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's how the episode ends.
And that is how the episode officially ends.
Yes. All right. So, Mike, you start off. How do you think the second half of the season is going to go?
All right, so I
I have.
definitely think.
So, just so you know, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to tell you two things that I think are going to happen. Now your turn.
All right, I definitely think that Omni Man is not going to be executed. I believe that Mark is going to save him. The Viltrumites are going to invade, or maybe not. They're going to invade Earth, but they're definitely going to. I think the at least we're going to get a glimpse of some sort of invasion attempt on Earth. Not necessarily like a full blown army, but maybe like a couple scouts kind of thing, just check in on Mark, and Mark ends up holding him back, and the Mark and the Guardians. We're going to see what happened with Alan, which personally I think he's going to end up living, and he's. I think the council is going to keep, because he doesn't know that the head counselor guy.
We don't know that
Is,
he doesn't know.
I mean, we don't know. I'm going to assume he doesn't know because he was in a coma.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to assume that he's, unaware. So he's going to keep reporting things to him, which is going to keep backfiring. What else is there? I think his little brother is going to come back to Earth with Mark, and they're going to be a nice superhero team. Um, what do I think about Debbie? Do I think Debbie is going to? I don't know what's going on with Debbie. To be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay.
She's a wild card.
Are you ready to hear what I have to say?
Go ahead.
It's going to be one of two things that happen in the second half. It's either going to be the Viltrumite invasion, which I don't think will happen this early.
Hmm.
I think you're on the right track in the sense of they're going to send a scout there to basically tell Mark like his last warning. Like if you don't make these people bow and accept our thing, we're just going to take it over our way.
Hmm.
Um, and or I think it's only going to be one or the other. I don't think we're going to get both. I feel like we're going to have the interdimensional guy be the main villain of the second half of this season.
Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah,
No, I know they built him up so much that I can't imagine them not using him in this
yeah.
season.
I'm
Where
surprised we didn't get a glimpse of him in these last two episodes.
I feel like they're building that up because they want us to think that the Viltrumites are going to be the main villain, which I think they will be for the series,
Hmm.
not for the season. Personally,
Yeah, I agree.
um, so I'm thinking we're going to have a bunch of Invincibles coming in to give us a sense of what it would be like for a bunch of a Viltrumite invasion, even
Hmm.
though it's not actually. It's just a bunch of Invincibles.
It's going to be similar to what happened on the insect planet. They're going to send a small group to wipe them out, and I think Mark and the Guardians will team up and push them off.
Sorry, what I meant by that is like it's going to make everyone realize that they're going to have to be prepared for a Viltrumite invasion. So
Yes.
that's going to be like the trigger. Like, oh my gosh, there was a bunch of Invincibles, and Invincible had trouble with it, along with his brother, who I also agree is going to be on Earth, and he's going to age faster. So he's probably going to be an adult age. I want to say by the end of this season.
See, I don't know because I know she made a point to say that his aging is a lot still slower. Um,
So when I say adult, I'm saying strong enough to actually fight, like teenage, like
okay.
16, 17.
Either way, I still feel like that might be. I don't know. Obviously, we'll
He's
see
already
how he
he's already
ages.
about the size of like a 1 to 2 year old, possibly more like a 2 year old. So and with only 6 months.
Yeah, the mother said that he would be equivalent to a human 1 year old. So
Okay, so yeah, it hasn't been a year.
yeah,
So I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see on that one. I do. He spoiler alert in the comics. He does get older faster and teams up with his brother.
okay.
Um, that doesn't mean they're gonna follow it to the T anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's what happened in the comics. Um, and what else was I going to say? Yeah, it's going to be one of those two. The ending of this season, I think, is going to be um, the multiverse opening up and a bunch of Invincibles come out to fight
yeah. I can see that. Yeah,
because he wants to eliminate all of them, and one way to do that is put them all together.
mm, that would be interesting. Yeah.
But hey, that's where I'm going with that one. All right. Well, do you have anything else to add about Invincible, my friend?
No, I think that really covers it.
All right.
Overall, these two episodes were really good. Uh,
Agreed.
definitely good way to end. Even though I know you hate these cliffhangers, definitely a good way to end.
I
Uh,
so for me this wasn't like a cliffhanger in a typical sense, so I didn't hate it. We did get closure, in my opinion, to a certain degree. There's still a lot of stuff that we need to know, but overall, like I felt good about it.
yeah,
Like I
um,
wasn't mad about it at all. It didn't feel like a stereotypical cliffhanger. It wasn't like Mark got like it goes black and you just hear somebody get their neck snap. You know what I mean? Like that would have ticked me off. But no, we I think I felt like it was a very good ending.
yeah. No, it was a good ending for now. And it's not like it's going to be a whole year that we're waiting. It's going to be
No, we're
maybe a month.
waiting. We're probably waiting. I would say no more than 2 months.
Yeah, depends on when in 24. I feel like they would want to do it like early January, but
I'm thinking they're probably going to wait until like the second week of January, which still isn't bad. It's
yeah,
still basically, but it's still like over a month, but not that much.
yeah, I'm thinking about the same then. Yeah,
Yeah. If anything, they might wait till the third week just to make sure that it extends till like almost March.
February. Oh,
No.
you're needing the whole season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, all right. So we're going to be moving on to what if. So we wanted to talk about what we think is going to happen in these episodes. So Mike and I have different orders of what these episodes are supposed to be coming out as, but we have the same episodes, which is good.
Now we do.
Yes. So anyway, hold on one second. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about the first one, um, my first one anyway, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to we're going to go back and forth on who starts. So I'm going to go first on this one, but I'm always going to say the name of the episode. So that way, because our list is slightly different in the sense of the order, we make sure they're all covered no matter what. So episode one is supposed to be, and again, I don't know if this is going to be the case, but what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? Corps. Corps.
Nova Core.
Nova Corps, thank you. I so for this one, I don't know. This is where it gets weird because it's like, is this Nebula? Is this Nebula already been mechanically altered, or
Ooh.
is this the Nebula before any of that, like where she has blonde hair? You know what I'm saying? So this was a tough one for me. I feel like she might actually become Nova Prime.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good theory.
So I feel like what we'll see is her, not to say she's taking it over to run it, but like she's the person who's gonna be Nova Prime, who then gets the powers of Nova.
Hmm.
What about
Yeah.
you?
No, I see. I was looking at it more just like her being a member of Nova Corps and just like, you know, uh, going around and fighting crime kind of thing, and she like intervenes with the Guardians of the Galaxy a bunch of times because they always have their issues. That's what I was looking at it as. But I definitely like your idea of her being turning into Nova Prime. I
Hmm.
definitely like that.
I mean, it could be both. Really, we could see her like her whole journey to make it to Nebula, make it to Nova Prime. You know what I'm saying? Like to become Nova Prime, where we
Yeah.
see those snippets of her fighting the Guardians.
No, yeah, definitely. That one could work.
Yeah. All right, you got the next one. What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes?
Okay. So Um, I'm going to assume that this one was maybe Peter kind of working with his father Ego, maybe, and instead of Ego trying to absorb him to become a bit more powerful planet god, um, he kind of uses Peter to scout out planets that he could conquer, and Earth's mightiest heroes that would be in the way for Ego. So Peter Quill attacks them to weaken the planet for him to more easily take it over. Maybe.
No, no, you're, honestly, my thought isn't that far off from yours. Mine is just thinking that Yondu gives Peter Quill to Ego earlier, so therefore Peter Quill doesn't have like the idea of being a monster. He then is thinking of himself as a god, and does pretty much exactly what you say. The only difference I have is the reason why he attacks Earth's mightiest heroes is because they find the egg on the planet on Earth,
Okay.
and they try to
Yeah.
stop it. And he goes to Earth. I'm assuming either by himself or with his dad to fight the Avengers to stop them, so that way he could take over Earth or absorb it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, realistically, it wasn't much different.
No, it was basically the same thing. It just I
Yeah,
left out the egg and what's it called?
yeah. Good. I don't think they're going to care about Earth until that happens. Until
Yeah.
they realize, oh, this is happening. We need to stop this.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So then we have episode 203, season 2, episode 3. Sorry, and I'm going to butcher this name, and I don't care. What if Korea reshape the world. Now, this is supposed to be when the Tesseract supposedly finds its way on American soil, I believe, before England colonized America. So this is actually a hero that is Native American who gains powers either from themselves or from the Tesseract itself, and reshapes the world because of it. Whether or not they just either stop the colonization of America or what, I'm not 100% sure. But I believe they're a brand new character that's created just for this What If series, and it is supposed to be um, a brand new story where I would imagine it takes place in what would be in like the 1600s, I would guess. But I do not know that for a fact.
The only difference maybe would be like maybe not take place during the 1600s, but just like maybe go through snippets of if this person is supposed to be during the Native American time. Uh, seeing snippets of them gaining power and then using the power of the Tesseract to then proceed to improve the world. And instead of seeing, you know, massive cities, pollution, all that stuff, it's a more kind of like Wakanda kind of thing, but Native American instead of African.
Okay.
Um, but
Well, just like Atlantic. No, no, what was it called in Wakanda Forever? Namor's home. You know what I'm talking
wasn't
about.
it? Yeah,
Just like
it wasn't Atlantis?
no, they had a different name for it in the
No, I don't
movie.
remember them.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, because it's kind of like the same theory. Like they created their own civilization away
Mm,
from the rest of the world. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be potentially linked to another episode later that I'll talk about. I don't
yes.
know if it's me or you. It's probably me because it's an odd number. So yeah, so you're pretty much agreeing with me on that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know what the order is because my order is different than yours. So
No, but what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is, the order of today, how we're doing it. That doesn't mean it's going to be how it is forever. I'm thinking that there's going to be this episode is going to tie into another episode.
no. I agree with you. All right.
So
So
the
for me, the next episode,
Oh no, no, I was
unless
going to
there's
say yeah. The next episode is what if Hela found the 10 rings?
okay. So what if Hela found the 10 rings? I'm going to assume then if she found the 10 rings. Now this is going to be kind of could go either one of two ways. Either she found the 10 rings and this was before Odin had the change of heart and wanted peace in the realms. Then if this was before, then they both used it to continue conquering you know all these worlds and use that power to for themselves and continue to the power corrupting them and using it more to their advantage, because I feel like the corruption of the 10 rings wouldn't affect them as much as it would a mortal. Um, so I feel like this would just enhance their power instead of corrupting them like it did Shang Chi's father. I forget his name. Um,
Okay.
or if Helen then was banished and found the rings, then she would use them to again improve her power and go to war with Odin. Um, yeah.
Well, actually, my theory is actually a combination of both of yours. I think that they go to Earth to conquer it or to find artifacts and fight the guy who has the 10 rings, which is Shang Chi's father, but way before he's a dad. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm talking about like around when he initially found the rings,
Yeah, early.
and Hela and Odin fight him, and it's I would imagine that it's got to be an even fight to a certain degree because the 10 rings are powerful. But I
Mm-hmm.
think in the end, Hela and Odin win. Hela take the 10 rings, and they start doing what they were doing to begin with, until she decides that I don't need him anymore, and removes Odin from his pedestal.
Okay. So you think she just overthrows him?
Not right away, but yes.
Okay.
I feel like he's going to have some sort of change of heart, and she's going to be more powerful because of the 10 rings, that she won't be going away that easily.
Definitely. Definitely.
That's just me personally. That's where I'm going with that one. And again, anything could happen. Like realistically, it's literally called "What If" because we don't know.
Yeah. Our
Um,
theories could
the
be right. They could be totally wrong.
we could be far far away from this, ever being even close to it. But anyway, the next episode I'm going to start off with, and this is an episode that we kind of got hinted at in season one. It's what if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? This is just, I mean, realistically, we're going to find out exactly how Gamora kills Thanos, but also teamed up with Tony Stark to then take over the Sakaar,
Mm.
and overthrow the Grandmaster.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Tony Stark makes a suit out of all the tech that's on Sakaar, which is why his Iron Man suit looks more like the Hulkbuster than it does anything else.
Honestly, I kind of agree with you on that one. To be honest, like,
No, I mean like, and I think this one we know the most about because we saw one of the characters already.
mm,
Well, technically, we saw two of them, and we saw that she and Iron Man were ready to dethrone Grandmaster before she was taken away.
mm, I don't remember too much of the trailer, to be honest. I kind of watched it while I was working, so it kind of.
No, I'm talking about that. We saw that in season one.
Did we?
Yeah, we actually see that because they're gathering all the warriors and they go there and they're about to overthrow the Grand Master and Tony Stark thinks he's going with them and he's like, no, we're only looking for Gamora.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
I forgot
really
about that.
quick. It's like a really quick scene. It's not for long.
Yeah, I
So
forgot.
Mike gets the next episode to start off. It's what if Happy Hogan saved Christmas?
Oh my god.
FYI, in parentheses, it says Iron Man 3. That's all I got for you. So go right ahead.
Oh my god. What if Happy Hogan saves Christmas? I don't know. It could be. It could be to the extreme where there's a like some kind of alien invasion coming down during Christmas time, and Happy just happens to have the just do the right thing that thwarts them, or it could literally just be it could be a happy-go-lucky episode where some kids are in the mall and Santa's not there, so Happy jumps in. Like, I have no idea what I could offer for this one. I think this one's going to be more of a joke episode, to be honest.
I think it's because it's this one is the only one I know for a fact is coming out Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It is definitely a joke episode.
I don't think it's necessarily a joke episode to a certain degree. I think it's supposed to be a holiday themed episode. Like it wasn't. I think it's going to be more of like it's going to be an uplifting episode. It's not meant to be dark. It's not meant to be
Yes.
hurtful. It's not meant to be. Although who knows? With Marvel, it could go the other way. But realistically, I just am taking it as a happy-go-lucky episode for Christmas Eve to
Yeah.
watch with the family.
I agree. I think this is going to be a happy. I think it's going to be a happy-go-lucky episode. So I don't think there's really going to be any fighting. I think it's just going to be like you said, get into the holiday spirit kind of episode.
Agreed.
So I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's going to be anything serious. So
Yep.
if it, I think it's going to be more like I said, not necessarily correct, like exactly correct. I think it's going to be more towards what I was saying, where like kids go to the mall to visit Santa, and Santa's gone missing. So Happy is Santa for the day, kind of thing. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like exactly like that, but you know,
No, but something along those lines, I would agree with.
or he could be like bringing Christmas gifts to the Avengers. you know,
Also, I mean, honestly, it's just funny that it put in parentheses Iron Man 3 because it makes me think like he does like he stops everything from happening. But I don't know. I don't think that. I think that's just meant to be like where it is timeline wise, like where
mm,
this what if is. Like maybe he didn't get blown up, or you know what I'm saying, like where this is the time that's happening while Iron Man and War Machine are trying to find the Mandarin. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. True.
I mean, I know it's a what if, so it didn't actually happen, but you get what I'm saying. Like
Well,
timeline wise, that's where it is. So the events of New York have happened.
yeah.
It's after that I don't know. Okay, so the next one I get, and this one's an easy one, so I'm sorry. I've gotten two easy ones in a row. This is hilarious. What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? This is going to be a sequel to the episode of Captain Carter, and I feel like the Hydra Stomper, which is basically the Iron Mongrel equivalent, is going to be more like Bucky Barnes in the sense of like the Winter Soldier, where once he's um, out of the freeze, he's going to go be villain. He's going to be a villain.
Okay, so you're thinking she's gonna be fighting her own Bucky Barnes.
Like that, like Steve Rogers is her Bucky Barnes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that actually. Because obviously, like you said, it's what if. So Steve Rogers doesn't necessarily need to die. So yeah.
No,
Okay.
but we know he's alive because they find him frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, we shouldn't say that. We've seen the suit. We didn't see technically him, but it was alluded
Well,
that somebody was inside.
yeah. Well, the thing that I was saying is in season one of the Captain Carter episode, Steve Rogers ends up dying.
No,
No.
no. We assume he died, but he went. He got frozen.
No, no, no. I know what you mean, but I thought I remember in that episode he got shot and killed.
I don't remember him dying. I don't think we saw him dead.
Okay. All right.
I do believe he did get injured, and I do agree with you on that. I don't think he died.
Because I
Anyway,
know he got injured, so he couldn't take the serum because he was supposed to, but because he ended up getting shot, he couldn't go into
yeah,
the
but then he got
chamber.
and then he got healed, and then he became the Hydra Stomper.
He got into the suit, yes, but I thought he ended up dying again. Like I thought he ended up getting shot again.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. I didn't think so.
I don't remember. Honestly, don't
Because
remember.
remember at
Sure.
the end where she has the happy ending after saving the multiverse,
Mhm.
she goes and sees the ice chamber where it has the Hydra Stomper in it, and they said there's a body in it.
No, but I'll go with it. I have to watch season one again. I have to
You're the worst. Anyway,
listen.
you get
You
the
dropped
next
this
one.
on me last second, all right?
Oh yeah, I dropped this on you last second, like you didn't know this was coming up. Anyway, the next episode you get to start. What if the Avengers assembled in 1602?
Okay, so what if the Avengers assembled it in 1602? Was there a significant event in 1602?
So I will tell you that this is actually another universe in the Marvel comics where all these heroes were I don't want to say created, but like all the heroes we know appeared in 1602.
So like so did they get teleported in
Think of it
time
like
or did they?
think of it like Marvel Zombies. It's a universe that was already established in the Marvel universe in the comics, but now they're making it a what if. Like it's not a specific event necessarily. It's like think of it as like that's the universe. Like Marvel Zombies is its own universe. This is its own universe.
Yeah, yeah, no. So what I'm trying to say, so like the in this universe, the Earth's quote unquote Earth's mightiest heroes were just like came about in 1602. They didn't like get taken out of their timelines and just displaced into
No,
the
so like there's
1602.
a version of Spider-Man here who's literally looks like Spider-Man except he has like the William Shakespeare necklace.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
There's also Mr. Fantastic who uses a sword. There is
So like say
I
so
think
like
Kingpin's a pirate.
So DC's so basically this is Marvel's equivalent to like DC's Jack the Ripper.
Yes, that's a
Okay.
good interpretation of it.
Okay. So one of my Earth's mightiest heroes, they're assembled, which means then they're gonna. So if Earth's mightiest heroes, they will team up. They're gonna help. Are they going to be on the Native American side? Or are they going to be on the colony side?
So here's my thing. I'm going with the colony side only
That's what I'm looking
because
at.
only because everyone from 1602, other than well, you also have to remember too, there is a Black Panther.
Yes, I was about to say Black Panther would
So
definitely
like
be Native
I
American
we also
side.
don't know what these Avengers look like either.
True.
Meaning like
True.
we don't know which ones are part of this Avenger team because there could
Hmm.
be a group of Avengers that would normally be on the roster that might be on the other side. We could have
True.
ourselves a civil war.
Yeah. No. Definitely. I could definitely see that. Oh, this
Like
one's going to be an interesting one.
Doctor Strange is pretty much almost exactly the same, minus the fact that he's a doctor. You know what I mean? Like meaning like when you look at him and like his powers and everything else, he doesn't look really any different.
Okay.
Mister Fantastic is very different in the sense of he still has his like stretchy abilities, but like he carries a sword.
Interesting.
Well, you got to remember how the tech is in 1602.
Fair. Fair.
Um, Kingpin is a pirate. I'm trying to. Oh, Peter Parker is not his name. It's like Peterus or it's something like Old English. It's basically Peter Parker, but like if it was in 1602, that's how it would sound.
In olden times.
Yes, literally, that's all it is. We know that there's a Black Panther for sure. It's obviously one of the ancestors of T'Challa,
Hmm.
and those are obviously there's also an Iron Man. There's all these other ones, but they're not. They're not. Oh, they're gonna have Captain Carter instead of Captain America.
Okay.
I don't know
Makes
how
sense.
they'll be able to do so,
Mhm.
but like they won't because then they don't. I don't think they're gonna do Captain Britain.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I'm going with that. But no, it's based off of an actual comic series, and I believe, all joking aside, it was originally just a what if comic
Hmm.
that later became its own universe and actually had its own storyline.
That's cool.
Kind of like Marvel Zombies was the same way.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it because it it looks like each season they're adding one that's like directly from the comics, and like I'm very curious of how they do it.
Yeah. No, this
Obviously
one.
they're condensing it obviously, but I mean obviously I liked all of them, so I didn't really care.
I
um
think. I think this one and the only one we haven't talked about yet out of these two, out of these 9 episodes, I think those two have the most promise to probably be like the episodes of the series of the season, just off of the title and what could.
no, I agree, and it depends on how the others go, but I would agree with you based on the evidence we have now. Yes. Now
Yeah,
the
this is just the
final
first
episode
series.
the final episode, or I should say the final episode on my list, that doesn't mean that's the right order,
Yep.
is what if Strange Supreme intervened. Intervened what?
Exactly.
Like my mind went everywhere.
Yep. So
Like, does that mean like he intervened and stopped the TVA from happening? Like he stopped the Kang? Like what do we? I think there's so many different ways this could go that I'm not confident I know where we are.
Strange Supreme was the Strange from season one, correct? Or was what was
That
his
is,
name?
to my knowledge, that's the Strange that they're going with.
So, like you said, what is he intervening with? Like, did he have the power to intervene with the Watcher? Like, is he on that scale of power now?
Well, no, he was. We know that because he was able to see the
He was
Watcher.
able to he was able to see the Watcher. Doesn't mean he has the power to intervene like the Watcher.
Well, think of it like this: Ultron was able to see the Watcher and then was able to intervene the other multiverses.
Oh, that's valid. That is very valid.
So by definition, he should be able to.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what is he intervening? I have no idea.
Yeah. There's so much that he could intervene with. Did he
I know.
intervene with him?
This is the wild card episode for me out of all of these, which is hilarious to say because like at least all the others I have a basic idea of what's happening. This
Hmm.
is the only one where I know the character because we've seen him,
Yep.
right? I have no concept of what he's intervening in because it yeah, I cannot like maybe it's a sequel to like the season finale of season one. Like he's intervening between Killmonger and Ultron. No, not Ultron. Armanzola.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. Because Zola kind of he took over
Yeah,
Ultron's
his
body.
his AI took over and destroyed Ultron's AI.
Yeah.
That would be the only thing. Like I shouldn't say that's the only thing. There are so many things he can intervene in, but just based on if they're going to reintroduce this character again, like bring him back, it would
Hmm.
only make sense that he would intervene with that.
Yeah. Unless I mean they could
I
bring
mean,
him
unless
into
they
a
make, I
different
mean,
story.
unless they decide to do like another spin-off of him, I don't know. I mean, because he's with the Watcher now, right? He ends to be with the Watcher at the end.
I don't think he's with the Watcher because when we last saw him, the Watcher assigned him just to watch over those two fighting. Make sure they
That's
didn't
right. That's
make
right.
sure they don't do like get
Maybe he
out of
just
there.
intervenes with that. Maybe he gets in the fight. Who knows? I honestly, I don't have an answer.
I kind of want to say like go on a limb and say they're going to kind of go out of left field and say he intervenes with something on the main timeline with like he intervenes with maybe like Thanos getting the stones or what? Yes, go. Share your thoughts.
I'm wondering if the Native American episode and the Avengers Assemble in 1602 and Strange Supreme are all linked together. He intervenes that fight.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Because remember, we were thrown off that there were three episodes that were linked together.
Mm. Yeah, that's possible.
I mean, again, I am not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that that's a good possibility.
No, it is. It could work. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if we're going to base it off of season one, all of these are going to get tied together somehow.
Agreed, but you understand what I'm saying. It's more the fact of like, even though they were all linked together, there were three episodes that literally went from one to the other to the other. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Where you're right, they all did come together and help deal with the issue. But yeah, I definitely was. I'm curious to see that episode. I'm actually, why am I even saying that? I'm curious about all of them because they're coming out literally all together, all 9 episodes, one day at a time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Literally one day at a time.
Yeah. So overall, I'm looking forward to it. I know you are. We won't be discussing it on this podcast until we come back from the holiday.
It'll be the new year.
Yeah, our first episode from the new year will be Impact. Well, I shouldn't say
Yeah,
that. It's going to be
not really.
basically Aquaman and What If,
Yeah, unless something gets shadow dropped, which is possible.
which is very much a possibility. And then the second week it's Echo, where we have to watch all 5 episodes for a podcast.
They're really packing everything in, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. All right. Well, that is it for What If. So we are going to go and talk about our character spotlights. And Mike has decided that I go first.
And then I did. Yep, I said it. I said, Scott, you're going first.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but no, he's right. All right. So my character is actually a man called Parker Robbins. And Mike, you shouldn't know that name, and if you do, I'm shocked.
I do
Um,
not.
Good.
Sounds familiar. I'll be honest though.
I feel like he's had to have had a mention in some show somewhere, but I think it was just kind of like a passing fancy. I don't think it was anything incredible. His alias is the Hood.
Robin Hood,
No, the Hood. Um,
Red Hood.
Actually, it is a red hood, to be honest with you, which is why I'm laughing.
Hey, point for me.
So I'm not. Anyway, so we're going to talk about his origin. After seeing Electro fight Daredevil as a child, the life of a supervillain enticed Parker Robbins. With a mother in need of constant medical care, he soon dropped out of high school to steal money to give her better care. His cousin, John, told him about some valuable material perfect to steal at a nearby warehouse, and together they broke into it. Finding only evidence of a mystical seance, they were about to leave when they were attacked by a demon in a cloak. Parker shot the being and assumed he killed it. Not wanting to leave empty handed, he stole the being's red cloak and boots, and on the way home, he was jumped for his shoes and used his boots to escape. Upon finding that the boots gave him the ability to walk on air, he took the cloak over to John's apartment, where he found that the cloak gave him powers as well, originating from the demon Dormammu. You know who Dormammu is, right?
Yeah, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, proud of you. His first criminal enterprise was to try and steal diamonds that were being brought into the U.S. by an organized crime boss. The crime boss hired contractor Jack O'Lantern and the Shocker to guard the shipment. Parker managed to defeat them and accidentally murdered the police officer in the process, dubbed the Hood. He became wanted for his involvement in the killing while trying to figure out how to get out of it, and he was attacked by a fake AIM agents who released the demon within Parker by accident. Eventually, Robbins managed to con the cops into shooting who they believed to be the killer. So basically, what happens in a short, easier way to explain it, part of his abilities are through the demon, a demon, not Dumanu himself, just the demon in general. And what happened was the demon came out of him um, when he was while he was being attacked, and they killed this demon to kind of well, basically for him to basically be like, that's him, that's the Hood, kill him, and it got killed. But he's still the Hood. He's also been in many different things. He's been in the Battle World, which is what we would consider the multiversal saga, what it leads up to. So he was part of the Beyonders team. He was teamed up with Spider-Man, Venom, Gravity, Medusa, Henry Pym, the Wasp, Craven, and Firebird. Um, he was also part of a criminal empire. He actually took over organized crime while all the superheroes were distracted by their civil war. So that's one of which I find interesting that Kingpin wasn't involved, but I think he was in prison at the time. He was involved in the Dark Reign, the Skrull invasion. He apparently became a hero at some point, which is interesting. He resumed his criminal career and decided to create even more power inside of himself, where he actually went toe to toe against the Kingpin himself, because both wanted to basically be literally the Kingpin, which is hilarious to me. Um, and later on, just basically kept doing what he wanted to do, to be honest with you. In fact, at one point, he became unhinged after losing his hood and was desperate to get it back. When he found out Black Cat was visiting Peter Parker in the hospital, he broke into his room with a gun and threatened him and his girlfriend, Mary Jane Watson, telling Felicia he'd pull a bullet in their heads if she couldn't get him his hood back by the end of the night.
Hmm.
Now, Felicia agreed on the condition that Mary Jane came with her because she was part of her crew. Spent the night waiting beside the comatose Peter until he concluded that they weren't coming back. Getting ready to make good on his promise, both women arrived just in time and presented him with his hood, seemingly functioning as it used to. However, Black Cat had tricked him, and as soon as he put it on, found out that it was really the demon bag that initially ate his hood. Um, Once it appeared, it consumed him whole, having gotten a taste for him.
That's disturbing.
He was hungry. So,
Hungry little guy.
his powers, just like the power grid in Marvel is always, it's based out of 7. His intelligence is a 2 because it's considered normal. His strength is considered a 2 because it is also normal. His speed, the same way. His durability is also a 2, which is normal. His energy projection is considered medium because it has a medium range. It's a 4. His fighting skill is a 3 because he has some training, although he is not well trained at all. His abilities are mysticism. He has occultic knowledge and paraphernalia. He is a criminal mastermind. He's a marksman. He has basic training in hand to hand combat. And apparently, he can play the piano. And his equipment is he wields pistols that can shoot magical bullets capable of harming and killing superhumans and mystics. His former equipment were his cloak and boots, which his boots made him able to walk on air. And that, my friends, is Parker Robbins, aka The Hood.
Cool. Misty. All right. My character spotlight this week is going to be from the Wildstorm universe. Her name is Dr. Angela Spica, otherwise known as Angie. She is known as the second engineer, who is a member of the Authority. She herself has a liquid body that is made of nanites entering her bloodstream. And with metal blood, she is able to create solid objects. So, Angie was born in Queens, the youngest of 7. From a young age, she was obsessed with superheroes, and while was always constantly dreaming of becoming a superhero. To achieve this, she set it out on her own goal. She became the smartest child in her school at the age of at a young age. She was building circuit boards while her classmates were still playing with toys. After the first engineer was killed, uh, Angie's home computer filled up with his nanotechnology notes and started linking to her and had a human-machine fusion. She had known the first engineer in real life, but she didn't know he was the engineer until he died and she became the second engineer. She distilled an incalculable number of intelligent devices into 9 pints of liquid machinery and placed her blood with it. The nanotechnology gives her vast mechanical abilities. The liquid metal covers her body at will, allows her to fly, and to create many things, such as radio telepathy bugs, weaponry, rocket engines, replacement lungs to cope with unfamiliar atmospheres, and even additional copies of herself. Jenny Sparks recruited her as one of the founding members of the Authority, and in the events of the transfer of power, Spica was replaced by Machine, a woman from Japan who received the nanotechnology extracted from the engineer's body. Spica's blood was temporarily replaced with that of an HIV-positive heroin addict, and she was given memory implants and forced into the life of a minimum wage worker in a 7-Eleven with an abusive husband and 6 children. um, all of them were all paid actors, by the way, until she was eventually saved by one of her teammates. This caused her to have a deep desire revenge on machine, but that was thwarted when she learned her fellow teammate had her one of her teammates had been killed. Um, there was a timeline at the end where there was a timeline with the Wildstorm where they started merging with the main DC universe. Captain Atom ended up getting displaced in the Wildstorm universe after he had destroyed a kryptonite meteor that was coming towards Earth. Um, she had developed a deep connection with him and ended up developing feelings for him. She first met him after the Authority teleported him through a door to the moon. Um, she had Angie had first tasked Jack Hawksmoor to keep an eye over Captain Atom using her charms and to keep him close and devise a plan to bring him back home or kill him if he should become a menace to their universe, the Wildstorm universe. Um, Angie was unable to find his proper universe using her nanotechnology. Um, sorry, she was unable to find his proper technology, so she used her nanotechnology to disable the fragments of the void lodging at Captain Atom's body, diffusing the threat posed by his survival in the Wildstorm universe. It started a relationship. Um, started a relationship, um, sharing intimate moments and trying to mold him into a proactive hero that her world needed. So my take is that him being in this universe, his molecules are set up differently than her world cannot take. So the longer he was there, the more unstable he became, and basically became a walking time bomb for her universe. And unless they were able to figure out how to mend his molecules, it was only a matter of time. So she used her own body to basically diffuse the bomb, and
Make his molecules stable in her universe.
yeah. Um, So eventually, there was some drama because there's always a love interest that ends up having drama. Angie ends up turning against him because he ended up she caught him doing something that she didn't like, and it was a misunderstanding and all that other stuff. So, um, uh, they started getting into a fight, and she tried to kill him. So Captain Atom was still deeply in love with her. So he was able to disable her powers until the void, which I guess is a like a massive power to control that controls the universe. So he had disabled her powers until the void was able to reboot their universe. And when they rebooted the Wildstorm universe, um, that basically reset her memories, and she had no recollection of him ever doing her any wrong. So they just basically picked up where they left off. Um, Now, during the World's End event, which is like a big event for the Wildstorm series. It took place between 2008 and 2011. It was basically their version of like the Crisis, and this was right before the Flashpoint series. And when the Flashpoint series occurred, basically tied the universe together officially with the Wildstorm in the main DC universe. Um, so during this World's End event, Angie lost her power due to an electromagnetic pulse and became just a regular engineer trying to fix the carrier and help the refugees living in it. However, she was unable to use her machine blood to reactivate it partially, and this in turn awoke her powers. She could use her superhuman powers for brief periods, but this never lasted long, so she wore normal clothes over her metal skin. When a Warhol virus infected Apollo, another Authority teammate, he vomited on her and causing her to become infected. her nanites were able to destroy the infection. When Apollo attacked the rest of the authorities, she gave each teammate a layer of nanite skin to protect them from the infection. When Angie was captured by Albion, sliding Albion, Prince Lorenzo, and forced to work on a miniature caged baby universe to power a shift door to his dimension. She made communication with the caged baby universe and in turn found an origin of the carrier and captured it in the establishment in the 1950s. Um, so, yeah. Her powers are basically blood nanites. She has been replaced with 9 punts of metallic liquid full of nanobots. Basically just tiny machines in her bloodstream that she can control at her will. She could shapeshift metal objects, and she could extend and stretch her metallic form with ease. She had insane durability, um, and like I said, she could morph her body so she could live in extreme environments, whether it be in space or say underwater. Um, yeah, she has a lot of powers. Technopath, technopathy. She could talk to basically all technology.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
She's a technopath.
yeah. Yes. Thank you.
No, no,
uh,
because it is because when you read it, it doesn't make sense how it's written
yes.
because it's the same thing with like because Cable can do the same thing, and it's like I you would sit there in hours like technico,
Yep.
just
Yeah.
technopath is so much easier,
No, you're right. You're right. Um,
but they don't say it that way because they hate us.
yeah. No. Why would anything be easy?
Not at all. So that was actually a really interesting one. It's one I've never heard of, but it makes sense in DC. All right. Well, what we have for you for the next couple weeks, our last 2 episodes of the year. Um, our second to last episode is going to be about, we're going to be talking about Aquaman comics.
Okay.
And I'm going to be devising a game for the two of us. I'm not telling Mike what it is yet. I might tell him before the video, to be fair, because he might need to do some research beforehand, but it depends on what I decide.
I'll
That being
definitely need to do
said,
research.
no, there might be some things I don't want you to research.
Okay. Fine.
But anyway, but it depends on which one I decide to go on. And then we end as we always do with a character spotlight from each of us. But then the final episode of the year is going to be a recap on what we've done for this year, in the sense of like what we've done. We're going to be ranking all the stuff that we've seen for this year. We're going to be talking about what's going to be happening next year. A little bit of a hint: it's going to be a weekly episode. We'll go into more detail about it in that final episode. And then we are going to talk about everything that's supposedly coming out in 2024. That includes Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and we're going to be talking about the Boys Universe and Amazon Prime as well. Some of the stuff that we would talk about on this podcast. Um, for now, we're going to be ending it right now. So if we appreciate it, if you made it this far, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Scott and Mike signing out. Have a great night.
Peace.